Hello there. Yes, I'm making this and I'm being a bit of a jerk while I'm making this. But November 18th of this year, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet releases, and I'm going to be doing a 24-hour stream, and I would like to see you all there. That's right, November 18th. That's a Friday, 24-hour stream. I will be doing it, and I will be having fun. So come on by, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, do all that stuff, and yeah, we'll have fun. So this is more of a cathartic video than anything else, and just to revel in the fact that Disney, it's going to be a death by 1,000 cuts. They still have a lot of money coming in, primarily through the parks, but this is more of a, well, you get what you deserve. So, and I don't like using NBC. I don't like NBC, anything about them, but I had to use this article. Disney's from CNBC. Disney misses on profit and key revenue segments. Warns streaming growth could taper. Yeah. And I have to criticize NBC big time through this article because they do a dumb thing to try to cover for Disney. And we'll get in it. But Disney fell short of expectations for profit and key revenue segments during the fiscal fourth quarter Tuesday and warned strong streaming growth for its Disney Plus platform may taper going forward. Yeah, this has always been suspected because the streaming bubble is starting to burst. Different platforms are struggling. The tech sector right now, our little streaming empire, because I have another video and another video on Disney. Wish it was HBO. I like talking about HBO. Anyways, though, a lot of these platforms have been struggling year over year now. They believed during COVID, well, because of Netflix, a lot of these companies and these massive organizations thought, hey, instead of spending money on Netflix and giving our license to Netflix to stream some of this stuff, we should just do it ourselves. Well, that's a fun idea and all, but the problem became you're all over the place and only certain companies are going to win or lose. You take NBC's Peacock, for example. The only thing Peacock has going for it is really The Office and Parks and Rec. I think there was one other thing people said was decent on Peacock, but nobody's really going to Peacock. So these platforms always had a flat out period, or they don't have continual growth. That's the problem that these places have. That's why you're getting a bunch of consumerism mentality, just content, just puff up these numbers, make sure there's reasons for people to be on here, but nobody's on here. And especially with Disney Plus, there's not a lot of good. Actually, there's barely anything good on Disney Plus. As we continue, shares of the company fell roughly 8% in after-hours trading. The company's quarterly results missed Wall Street's expectations on the top and bottom lines, as both its parks and media divisions underperformed estimates. We'll get into it, but yes, everything's underperforming right now, and there's some fun facts, and, well, not here first. Disney this year has been getting beat up, hit and misses. So you had Q1 of 2022, they hit it. But then you had Q2, they missed it. Q3, they hit it. Q4, they missed it. So they're constantly struggling this year, and Disney hasn't put out a lot of shows. Their parks aren't doing as well, and they're finally taking hits for it. Granted, they still have a buttload of money, so they can take these hits for a long period of time. But eventually these shows, Disney's going to start having to realize that they need a course correct. But they will definitely be the last company to ever course correct. And Chief Financial Officer Christine McCarthy tempered investors' expectations for the new fiscal year forecasting revenue growth of less than 10%. The company reported 2022 fiscal revenue growth of 22%. So yeah, you're growing, but not at a steady rate. You're actually decreasing constantly, and it's not going to affect them now. This is a multi-billion-dollar international corporation. They're not going to feel it for a couple years. Fourth quarter revenue in the media and entertainment division fell 3% year over year to $127 billion during the year earlier period, as the company direct-to-consumer and theatrical business struggled. And it struggled because all you're putting out, let's use Disney Plus as an example. You want to have a new Marvel show every week leading up into movies, and then you want to have Star Wars, but you're not putting out Star Wars consistently, and then what you are putting out is lackluster, if not total crap. Then on the Marvel side, it's just total crap. So you're not getting your numbers that you're getting. Movies aren't doing as well, and things are just falling off a cliff, essentially. And this is the problem with content-based platforms. YouTube has similar issues, but not as bad, because YouTube has a lot of evergreen content that people like to go back to. That's fun because it's more personable and stuff. But the problem when it came to Disney Plus is, unless your content is good, nobody's going to be coming back to it. Nobody. You might have some hits here or there, but nobody's constantly coming back to it. And how it's set up is always be excited for next thing, always be excited for next thing, always be excited for next thing. And you've trained your customers to be just prepared for what's next, and it's hurting you. The company also posted, business analysts had expected segment revenue of $13.9 billion according to Street account estimate. The company also posted lower content sales because of its fewer theatrical films on the calendar, and therefore fewer films to place into the home entertainment market. How many? Well, no, because you guys had a decent amount, not a whole lot, but you're not cutting back on your films. Isn't wrong. If your films are good, you can make a lot of money back. The only decent film that I guess Disney can say they sort of had a part of was Spider-Man, but that was a Sony property that they only got like 25% of the revenue for. And that was also that was part of last year and this year. That wasn't just this year, so they had to cut that in parts. The company also posted lower content sales because it had fewer theatrical... Oh, I already said that. Here's how the company performed in the period from July to September. Earnings per share, 30 cents per share adjusted versus 55 cents expected. You had revenue, $20.15 billion versus $21.24 billion expected. And then they get into their Disney Plus total subscriber number, which this is from the mouth of Disney, so you have to take that with a grain of salt. We have no way to track these numbers, and these numbers aren't super accurate because it doesn't take into account dead accounts, people that... And this is where CNBC really messes up. But they take note of, they have now 164.2 million subscribers to Disney Plus versus 160.45 million expected. Now, they're not taking into account the potential Verizon accounts into all this, which are still free as long as you pay through Verizon. So this number isn't perfect, and you can't really use that number, but they are going to, which is actually problematic. We'll say that. Disney Plus added 12.1 million subscribers during the period, bringing the platform's total subscriber base to 164.2 million subscribers, higher than that 160.45 million analysts had forecast according to street account estimates. Again, you can have a lot of subscribers, but how many of those subscribers are dead subscribers? How many of those subscribers are actually paid subscribers? You have a bunch of that to question here, because you have the Verizon deal that I believe is still going on. You have a bunch of deals that are going on to try to bolster your numbers, to make your numbers high. So how much money is that actually bringing you in? Just saying you have this many subscribers isn't enough. However, growth is expected to slow in the fiscal first quarter, Disney executives warned on Tuesday's conference call. And this is where CNBC really should have used the 2 brain cells that it has, because it was doing pretty decent there until we get to here. And what the hell was that? Anyways, at the end of the first fiscal quarter, Hulu had 47.2 million subscribers, and ESPN Plus had 24.3 million. Combined, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and Disney Plus have over 235 million streaming subscribers. Netflix, long leader of the streaming space, had 223 million subscribers, according to the most recent tally. But, you cannot combine to both. I get it. What they're trying to do is say, well, this platform has this many, this platform has this many. If you combined it with this one, you have a lot of subscribers, but you can't do that, because for basic terms, there is the Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus bundle package. So how many of these subscribers are combined with these subscribers and these subscribers? How many of these are just all one subscriber? You cannot. You have to take each one of these as a separate platform. You cannot combine them to bolster your numbers. That's actually a problem, because now when you do this, you're potentially counting people 3 times versus when you really should be counting them 1 time. And again, how many of these are dead accounts? We don't know. We will never be able to know until we get to dig into there, and we might not be able to, but advertisers might. Disney CEO Bob Chapek said in the company earnings release that Disney Plus will achieve profitability in fiscal 2024. Now, in the comment section, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they were planning on getting profitable sooner. I think they were wanting to get profitable next year, but you have to start being profitable immediately. You can't keep putting off this profitability margin. You're never going to get every single person in the world to subscribe to Disney Plus. It's not going to happen. There will come a time when your platform is basically null. There is a glass ceiling that you cannot break through on this. And also, with how a lot of people deal with this streaming market, because let's be fair, the streaming market ended up becoming a massive con for a lot of people that wanted to get out of cable. So, where before you were spending a couple $100 a month for multiple cable channels, you're now spending a couple $1,000s a month because you have to have Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN, Netflix, HBO, Amazon, Peacock, Paramount. You have all these other platforms. So what people have been going to do is they're deactivating a platform. They're not paying this month. They're paying this month. They're doing that now instead. So your profitability margins this might constantly change. The direct-to-consumer division lost $1.47 billion during the most recent quarter. It also reported a 10% drop in domestic average revenue per user to $6.10. Ooh, I don't know how bad that is, but back to this whole profitability, Netflix still isn't profitable. Netflix hasn't been profitable in years. They were, when they first started, they were running off of basically investor money. These platforms aren't money makers. They never were, and that's why they're starting to go towards ad based networking, which nobody wants the ads on their streaming platforms. That's why they start leaving. The company is set to hike prices for the service in December and is planning an ad-supported tier, which is expected to boost revenue. It will boost revenue, but it will also scare people off. People came to these streaming platforms with the promise of no ads, view anytime, whatever you want. You're going to start scaring people off. Chapek has been on a mission to better link the company's divisions as one single organization and accelerate its direct-to-consumer strategy. We'll see how that works. The company reported record results in its parks experience and product segment. Chapek said the division, which includes the company's theme parks, resorts, cruise line, and merchandise businesses, saw revenue increase more than 34% to $7.4 billion during the quarter. Now, they start getting into some of the nitty-gritty here, but the parks is where Disney makes its money. That's how they can subsidize everything. That's how they're producing their crappy shows, their crappy movies, everything. That's how they're pushing it, is because their parks are doing so well. The problem is, you get this. And we'll just use the headline because this is starting to become massive. 2021 attendance index suggests more guests visited Universal Orlando theme parks, defeating 3 Walt Disney World parks. The attendance at Walt Disney World and all these Disney parks is dwindling. You constantly get reports of people not being happy, people being upset with their experiences. Going to Disney is now becoming more of a job, and people aren't enjoying it. Universal Studios, though, is seeing massive growth. You have massive investment. Apparently, would have been last week. Yeah, last week or the week before. I don't remember when Halloween was off the top of my head. I think it was the week before last. But over their Halloween weekend with their Halloween Horror Nights, everything was booked. They had the largest night of their entire life. Universal Studios. Now, Universal Studios is also set to, I want to say it's either 2023, 2024. They're going to open Super Nintendo World in both California, and then they have a massive one over in Universal. You have another plan set up there for massive improvements on Universal. So now your Universal competition is becoming huge. They also have plans to, in their Super Nintendo World, implement Pokemon things, Mario, Donkey Kong, all sorts of really cool stuff is going there. Your Disney parks are suffering. You're going to start losing money. And when that Reedy Creek thing takes into effect in June or July, that's also going to have a hit into the Disney, this whole theme park market. Where was I? Company report. Still, Wall Street had slightly higher hopes for the divisions, for the division. This is the theme park division. Analysts were expecting revenue of $7.5 billion, according to Street Account. Operating income for the division rose more than 66% to $1.5 billion as spending increased at its domestic and international parks and consumers booked voyages on its new cruise ship, the Disney Wish. The parks unit specifically brought in $815 million. Why my brain was not wanting to say that word. And operating income, while well shy of the $919 million expected by Street Account. They're losing customers. You're running people off. Remember, and Drunk 3PO, check out Park Hopping channel. check out the park hopping channel for Geeks and Gamers. Drunk 3PO does some good work. I had a lot of fun watching that during the meetups. But he talked a lot about Galaxy's Edge. I think that's what it's... No, it's not Galaxy's Edge. It was the Star Wars cruise liner thing. I cannot remember what it was off the top of my head. But that was so awful, and that cost $6,000, I think, for a weeknight, and that's only 2 nights. And that's for one person, I wanted to say. 1 to 2 people. And it gave you nothing, and everything's just super overpriced. You're running people off by hiking up your price, especially in an inflation economy where everything's super pricey. You can't keep doing that, and the park businesses are suffering, as we saw over here. Disney cited higher costs and said they were only partially offset by higher ticket revenue. Well, from my understanding, ticket costs also went up. So higher ticket revenue doesn't mean much if we're going to have this issue later in one of my next videos when it comes to the Wakanda Forever. But what we're starting to see is a bunch of these companies, movies, parks, they're increasing the cost of tickets to help alleviate the issues of lower attendance. The problem starts becoming, again, an economic issue when you make things more expensive to try to alleviate some of your problems. That starts also causing more problems. Less people can afford to go. Less people can afford to spend time there. You go back to $6,000 for just 2 people to spend, I want to say 2 nights on a weekday, or maybe it's 3 nights on a weekday on your Star Wars cruise ship, where you're stuck in a literal pod and everything else there is exorbitantly cost-worthy. So you can't... raising your ticket revenue isn't going to help. Driven by an introduction of Genie Plus and Lightning Lane guest offerings. But again, a lot of these are becoming harder to get by and they're costing more money. CFO Mick McCarthy said Tuesday that Disney is looking for meaningful efficiency and actively examining the company's cost base. All in all, Disney didn't hit what it wanted to hit. Disney is suffering financially, but again, Disney can afford to suffer financially for a long period of time. They have parks all over the world. All these parks are bringing in money for them. They're going to be able to have at least another couple years of bad times, because for all their crap, they're going to have something like No Way Home come out, and everybody's going to go see it. It's going to give them a little bit more money for a while. Even if that was only 25% of the revenue, but that was still a whole lot of money that came in because of that movie. And that's going to help pay for other stuff. As long as... you're not going to see Disney actually start changing and suffering because of this lack of money income for another couple of years. But with this happening, with Universal expanding the way it is, with Universal becoming bigger and more profitable, and with Super Nintendo Land coming out here soon, Disney might be taking a big hit here in a couple years. And by next year, who knows what happens. You also have, I want to say it was Legacyland or something like that. Like, Universal's also making a third world attached to it besides Super Nintendo Land. And this is where they're going to be bringing back a lot of, a lot of their older rides, a lot of their older creations. They're going to be having a bunch of other things come back, and they're going to set it up there. So Universal is growing. Disney is suffering. How long can you last? How long until it finally starts affecting more than just what we see here. How long until all of this is down? How long until your stock continues to decrease and your shareholders start saying, hey, what the heck's up? But with that, guys, give me your thoughts down in the comments below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, share it out with all your friends, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell for every time I go live and put out a new video, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.